Hey, everybody. Welcome to our conversation today. If you are one of our current subscribers, welcome back. We're really glad to have you with us. And if you are someone new to our channel, you'll want to stick around and watch the whole thing because I'm sure there's going to be some real nuggets of gold that are going to come out of our conversation today. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Gary Smith. I'm the founder and CEO of Gary L. Smith, LLC. I'm a business consultant, a business and personal coach, an author, and international speaker. And I love the work that I do, which is why we're posting this content to add value to the lives of other people. If you do like the content of our presentation today, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and that way you'll be plugged in and you'll learn whenever we get new content posted. One of the neat things that I get to do in my line of work, and I really sort of consider it a perk, is I get the opportunity to meet some really, really interesting people. But every once in a while, I encounter someone who's really special. And today's guest, Heather Burgett, is one of those people. We connected, I think, via email about a month ago, and then we eventually got on a Zoom chat. And I found that there was just an instant connection with Heather. We just resonated with each other in the work that we do, even though we're in completely different fields. But the work that we do, the approach that we take, and that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. But let me just introduce Heather quickly. Heather is an award-winning publicist and visibility business coach. She's the CEO and founder of the Burgett Group PR agency and also PR Stars Online program. In the past 20 years, Heather has represented Grammy and Oscar winners, authors, billionaires, celebrities, you name it. She's helped a lot of people be successful and to take their careers and their businesses to the next level. And I really love her purpose statement. She helps purpose-driven business owners leverage mainstream media and high-level digital PR strategies to grow their businesses and attract their dream audiences and clients for more impact, income, and influence. I mean, if you can't take something great away from that, it just doesn't exist. So anyway, Heather, thanks so much for taking the time today. I'm just grateful for you taking the time to chat with me today.
Hi, Gary, and everyone watching. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, you're right. We met. It was a quick kind of connection, and I'm glad we got to have you actually on one of our recent visibility parties, and we've already been able to play a little bit virtually on stage. And now today I'm coming to your audience to say hello. And I really feel like this is the wave of the future and how things work. It's all about these like heart-centered, purpose-driven collaborations.
It really is, and that is what I find fascinating. Is that in a world that is a digital world that's somewhat impersonal, it's amazing when you take the right approach, the connections that you can make. I mean, you and I have never met physically, and yet we're already friends. And that's just really, really, really cool to me. But why don't you just take a couple of minutes and sort of share a little bit of your journey? How did you get to where you are in business today, and what is it that continues to get you out of bed excited every morning?
Great question. So, well, I am from a very small cow town in Massachusetts. I grew up with 3 TV channels, but every year being really excited about like when the Wizard of Oz would come on and just being sucked into that incredible storytelling, the magic of movie making. And so I think I kind of maybe early on knew that I was going to be doing something in film or entertainment world. Flash forward to, coming out of college, I did end up working at a high-tech PR firm, and I fell into an internship. I didn't know it was going to be PR that kind of ended up taking me to where I am today, public relations. But I did end up getting hired on, and we launched America Online as a consumer brand at that company. So that was quite a long time ago. And then I hopped over to hospitality PR at the Ritz-Carlton Boston. And then I hopped a plane to Hollywood. Finally, I knew it was time to go west. I wanted to be a movie publicist. And so I landed in Los Angeles, and within a year, I was working at a film PR agency. And the first big film project that I ended up working on was the Blair Witch Project, which to this day still remains one of the most profitable independent films ever made. So that was kind of my entree into the publicity and the PR world. And I started my own company soon after that. I have had my own agency for over 2 decades. And it was about 4 to 5 years ago, after losing my last living grandparent, my grandmother, who was basically one of my best friends, a very dear person in my life. At that point, I decided I really needed to do something more with my talents, that they were only being reserved for a few elite people who could afford the PR agency type fees. And I wanted to help more business owners out in the world who had really important causes, missions. They were doing really wonderful things to make the world a better place. And they deserve to have their messages and their brands out there in a bigger way, just like anybody else. So at that point, I decided to move into the online space and start teaching what I know and sharing what I know with consultants, entrepreneurs, creatives. So everyone, this stuff really applies to anyone who's putting themselves out there, speakers, authors, coaches. And that's what I've been doing. So I've been pulling back more and more as time goes on from doing the agency type services and really leaning into the consulting and coaching to support business owners and getting to that next level with their own visibility. So that's kind of the nutshell. It's a little long nutshell, but I could also go on for hours about it all. So, let's dig into whatever topics you would like to today.
Well, the first thing I'd really like to talk about, and it's something that's very, very close to my heart, as I know it is to yours, and that's the whole concept, as in your mission statement, purpose driven. Let's talk a little bit about that, and what does purpose driven mean to you, and how do you encounter that in the clients that you work with, either positively or negatively?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm sure, different people have their own definitions of what that actually means. To me, I would say, because I was drawn, especially when I was working in film, especially to documentaries, like that was kind of my favorite type of project to work on, because I loved that every documentary had a real cause-based purpose behind it. There was always trying to create awareness, social change, telling a story you'd never heard before. And sometimes these stories are like, you can't even believe they're real. But bringing that awareness to the world about these unique stories and projects. And so basically that was like, one of my favorite things to do. And then over the years, I started working with all different types of clients, from nonprofits. I really love working with charitable causes and doing fundraisers for organizations that are helping make the world a better place. And so it just became a very big part of the clients that I worked with. And so then when I was moving to the online space, it just naturally has carried over. I think, the audience that shows up for us is really a reflection of who we are and our hearts and where our passion is in the world. And I love to help people get visible who are making the world a better place. And that's my gift. That's my purpose on this planet. And so, it's, for a while I was like, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And it's like, oh yes, you are the person who can see the path for these people. Because, when you're in it, you can't always see it for yourself. And I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be doing something else. But especially when the pandemic hit, I've just continually been pulled deeper and deeper into my own purpose and cause of like what I'm meant to be doing. And I realized that is to support purpose-driven business owners.
Do you find that that in working with the entrepreneurial and creative types that they sometimes struggle with with what their purpose really is? I mean, they may have some great ideas that they're working on, But if it's really not connected back to who they are and a sense of what they're supposed to be doing on this planet, as you put it so well, how do you help them approach those types of things and come to a point where they really can answer the fundamental questions of why am I here and what is my life really supposed to count for?
Yeah, I will say a lot of the people in my community already kind of know what that calling is. Like that's why they're in my community, because they feel like they have a bigger purpose or message to get out there. And a lot of times it's figuring out like, okay, well, let's just hone in on what that actual story and positioning is. For people that are maybe feeling a little bit lost with it, what I will always say to them is, it's you already have it. You already know. If you've ever helped anyone in your life, whether they paid you or not, that is your gift. So if you think back to the patterns of the types of problems you've helped solve or the types of people that you've supported over the years, even if it's in your personal life and not your work life, like you have a gift and there is something that you can do in the way only you can do it, right? With your special brand of magic. And that's what makes you unique. So really that's, everything we're doing, we're talking about your positioning, your visibility, your PR, is we're looking for your special sauce and how to actually package and present that to the world.
That's really powerful. It really is. And the thing that I find, I would guess to say that, a lot of the people who come into my sphere don't already have that purpose, or if they have a purpose, they may sort of have a sense of it, but it's really not well defined in what they're doing. And the thing that I find is that a lot of times, I think it was Simon Sinek who created what he called the golden circle, where it's like a three concentric circles, and then the outer circle is what, the middle circle is how, and the center circle is why. And he said so much of the time that what happens is that people know what they do, they sort of have a sense of how they do it, but they really don't know why. And when you start asking them questions about why, they're trying to use the what and the how to sort of back into the why, when really what they need to do is start with the why and then let the how and the what be informed by their why. And so that's what I try to do in working with people. And sometimes it really is a challenge from the standpoint that, they may be very, very good at what they do. They may have that entrepreneurial spirit, but when you start asking them questions about, well, are you really passionate about what you do? They say, well, yeah, sort of, I guess. Do you really love your work? Do you get out of bed excited every morning about doing something? It's like, well, no, not really. And it's like, well, then why are you doing it? Let's figure out what it is that you're really supposed to be about, and what passion you really have. Because I really feel sometimes that that your purpose really comes at the intersection of what are you passionate about in life, and what are your skill sets, and how do you combine those two in a way that allows you to be happy and at the same time hopefully get compensated for the things that you do. But you're saying that you feel that the people who are coming to you really already have a sense of that. Do you run into people who just have no idea at all?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of those people in my community too. And that's why I think they're there, because they're trying to figure out like what their purpose is. But I would say the people that are more ready to like hit the ground running to get to that next level of visibility, like that's often when they come, to step into my programs. But also a lot of what I do in the community is help people, the things you're talking about. Like, yes, we have to first be clear about what is your vision, what is your why, like what are you passionate about? And I always say, like, trust your internal guidance system, because that's when you're feeling lit up, you're on track, right? That's the thing. When it feels good, we want to keep going in that direction. So finding ways to really tap into that joy and that good feeling, that lit up feeling around the things you are doing, and and finding a way to make that your thing that you make money doing. And that's the interesting, talking about the circles, I was thinking of ikigai, which is kind of the Japanese meaning of life, right? It's the thing you do that people need most from you in the world, that they will also pay for you. And that's that sweet spot in the middle there. So always, looking to say, okay, visibility is great, but if we don't know what we're offering or inviting people to in the world, then, we all are here to live, and it's expensive to be a human being, right? We need to make money to live on the planet. So we want to make sure you're getting compensated for those special gifts, monetizing them. So when you get the eyeballs, what the invitation is, what is the next step for people when they come into your sphere? And, how are you taking care of yourself so that you can take care of more people?
Yeah, all of that stuff is really important. And I think too, I mean, when you talk about the compensation end of things, that people can tell instantly when they meet you whether you're passionate about what you do, whether you're fully invested, in the work that you do, whether it's coaching or consulting or whatever brand it is that you're trying to promote. They somehow have a sixth sense, and they know, do you really believe in what you do? And that really, I think it gets back to the old saying that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. They want that emotional connection with you to say, yeah, what this individual is doing really resonates with me. And maybe that's something that we can explore in your world. When you talk about visibility, how do you go about creating that visibility and that resonance so that when somebody is presenting themselves, especially in the online space, that we can use this wonderful media that we have so that people can still feel your heart in how you approach things?
Well, everything I teach is from that place of alignment, like being tapped into your vision, your purpose, your why, and first getting lit up. I call this like the inner work side of it. Like we do that before we ever do the outer work, the strategy side of things, because it's truly a balance, right? Like if you just jump into the strategy without first getting right in yourself with what you're doing and why you're doing it, then I always say you might get some results, but you'll often end up back at the drawing board. And so really like learning how to tell your story in an aligned, authentic way. I talk a lot about having that soul aligned brand that feels good to you. So you're never doing things just to do them because someone said so. You're doing things that feel right for you on your journey and your path. And you're not applying someone else's model without customizing it to what feels right for you. And I think that's where there's a lot of coaches out there, and there's a lot of people teaching things, but sometimes they're forgetting, how individualized people's journeys really need to be. So when you're trying to cookie cutter things, it's just, that doesn't always work. So like, I know with my formulas, like, we have the general overarching formulas, but then within that, that's why we work, in a very personal way with my clients, because we want them to have a customized journey that they're excited about. Because if you're not excited about it, why are you even doing it, right? Like being in your business should not be a slog. It should not be something that like every day you're dreading waking up, right? Like,
Right.
feel good in it. Like that's the whole purpose of being here, is to enjoy life and to have the connection with others, right? So that's a big part of it, is that emotional connection. And that's what creates, if you think of some of the biggest brands out there ever that have been masters at this, like Coca-Cola, and they're, have a Coke and a smile. And I'd like to teach the world to sing, like those, because those brands, they know how to make an emotional connection to people. And that's all we're doing.
Yeah, and that is so true. And I want to back up to one point that you made that I think is really vital, and that maybe a couple of things we can chat about. One is that it's not, when you look at the gaps between where you are and where you want to be, it's not just the advertising or the marketing techniques that you're going to use to promote yourself or whatever that case may be. It's really starts with who is the person that I am, and who do I need to become in order to be able to achieve this? Who are the, I think one of my mentors is John Maxwell, and he talks about the law of the lid, and that you keep, as you live your life, you keep bumping up against this lid in the jar that you're living in, and you can't become more until you raise that lid. And the only way you raise that lid is becoming a better person, becoming a more informed person, becoming more passionate about what you do. And I think about another one of my favorite people in the world was Zig Ziglar. And he said, you have to be before you can do, and you have to do before you can have. So it all starts with being. Is that sort of where you're coming from?
100%. It is about the being first and foremost, not the doing, right? So the really, my background is also in the healing arts. I have over 500 hours of training for many years as I worked as a healing arts practitioner in body work and energy work. And there's a lot of verbal components that go along with that, the modalities that I studied and learned. And so, what I didn't realize is I was bringing that to my PR clients, and that's why they were getting such massive results. And then when I had to bottle this up for my online programs, I really had to look at what is my personal, signature style and formula for getting the results. And that is the first and foremost thing, is that inner alignment and that inner work piece. And it's not a scary thing. All it means is we just want you to be more of who you already truly are. And that's, I had a whole podcast dedicated to shine, because in my PR star formula, the S is for shine. And that's my favorite part, right? And that's really how you put yourself out there. So just shining more of who you really already are authentically and vulnerably into the world is what it takes to have that magnetic brand. And so sometimes people we try to overcomplicate things and overthink things. But really, when you just kind of lean back a little and settle into more of who you are and start putting that out there in that aligned way, that's when everything shifts to become easier, right? That's when people start coming to you. They are seeking you out. So one is the visibility piece of okay, you're out there, they can actually see you and find you. And then what's happening when they see you? Are they connecting and resonating with you, what you're saying, your energy, your being? 100%. That is I would say that is the key.
Yeah, and I take maybe a more, I don't know if mechanical is the right word, but I take a slightly different approach to the same thing, because I take my clients through the discovery process as they're developing their purpose. Then one of the things we do that's sort of a side journey is to say, okay, what are your core values? What are the values that really define who you are and who you want to be as a person? And then we look at the values and say, is there a congruence between your values and your purpose? Because if there isn't a congruence between who you truly are as a person and what you're trying to achieve in life, you're constantly going to be butting heads with yourself internally. And the silly example I use is to say, let's say that your purpose, and it's a very shallow one, but let's say that your purpose is to make a lot of money because you want to be very philanthropic. You want to give a lot of money away to charities and to people. But if you have a core value or a belief in your system that says that money is the root of all evil, what are the chances that you're ever going to be able to fulfill that purpose? Because you're going to constantly self-sabotage yourself.
Yeah, that self-sabotage is a big one. It's there's a lot of ways we can do it. And especially when you're up leveling and putting yourself out there in a bigger way, I 100% agree that it's we have to be really careful about our thoughts, our mindset, our feelings. I call them the little gremlins that get on our shoulder and stop us. So yeah, absolutely. It's so important to address all of those things.
Yeah, it really is, and you're right. And it's amazing to me. One of the comments I make oftentimes is that even coaches need coaches, because we all have our own blind spots that we don't see. And I have one particular coach that I work with, and we talk once a month. And she's absolutely amazing at just sitting back and listening. And I'll be talking about what's going on in my business and in my life and stuff. And all of a sudden she'll say, wait, stop, go back and replay that for me. And when I replay it, she'll say, where did that limiting belief come from? And it's I didn't realize I had one. And she said, well, you just said this. And it's holy mackerel.
Yeah, we're comfortable in our blind spots. We don't know they're there.
exactly. But that's what happens. Uh, so it's the journey of the being, and then I assume you take your clients through a process then of based on where they are and what they're passionate about. How do they discover going about, what's the next step of doing? What is it that they need to do to get to where they want to be?
Yeah, I mean, I have a number of formulas and strategies that I teach, but I would say if I were to just break it down most simply for the audience who is here today, we could just even look at it. It's three steps and just keep it really simple and easy. So when you're getting more visible in the world, we have the foundational period, which is where you're basically like setting yourself up for success. You're auditing what is there. You're looking at your business model and how you're monetizing. What are you going to be sharing when you get the eyeballs? We look at, where do you want to be appearing? Like, what is your dream media win or place to be appearing? Is it on your favorite podcast or a TV show or a magazine? So getting that clarity around, what it is, and then creating the strategy and the timeline to get there. So it's the vision plus the plan. So really, that's a big part of the foundational piece. And then the next phase would be the positioning, packaging, and presenting. So that's where we get that message clarity. Once we have that purpose clarity, we work on your messaging. How are you packaging and presenting yourself to the world through the materials that you have, through your bio, through your storytelling? And then making sure that's consistent across all your platforms, making sure you have your press kit and your speaker sheet and all the materials you're going to need on that journey. And then the third phase would be going out, like the actual outreach and landing the results. So where are you speaking your message, writing your message, appearing in the media, speaking on camera, those kind of things, speaking on stages. A lot of people choose the speaking path. So those are what I would say the three really important phases are. And then within three, the big piece that most people forget is the leveraging. So not only like reaching out and landing those results, but what do you do with the results once you get them? Because I will hear a lot of people say things like, oh, well, I did some of this work and, it didn't do much. But this is about building and baking it into your business year round. So when you go to the SBA for a business loan, they will ask you in your business plan, what is your PR plan? It is its own section. So there's marketing, advertising, publicity or public relations. And so a lot of times, because PR is so cost prohibitive, a lot of business owners save that for later or as a luxury. And that's why I'm out doing what I'm doing, because I want people to know that once you build that into your business, that is the thing that gets you known and gets you to the other side of your vision and where you want to be. So don't save it for later. That's a big mistake.
So for small business owners, how do you go about doing something like that that gets them the presence that they need in the marketplace, but at the same time doesn't break the piggy bank, of the expenses or the investment that they're making to do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, one is join my programs. Just shameless plug right there. That's why I created them, is because I wanted to have affordable solutions for small business owners that get them the same results as you would get with hiring a PR agency. So you can do it yourself. It's not necessarily about you doing all the things. We want you as the visible visionary, and then you're delegating. So, I mean, I have one client who I always recommend at least have one free intern. Like, I don't want to hear any excuses that I can't delegate, because you can always get a free intern. And then there's low cost virtual assistants. You could even get a low cost like freelancer and marketing or PR. But basically, you're the visionary, you're delegating. And that's the most important thing, that you don't get pulled out of your genius zone to get these results. And so that's a big part of what we teach, is how to do the steps and how to delegate, so you don't get bogged down. But at the same time, it's only a couple hours a week that most of my clients put into this activity. And I was going to say, one of my clients, she hired 6 interns. So she has a PR and a social media department for her event that she has coming up. So there are a lot of ways to do this work without breaking the bank. And one hot tip I will give everyone here today that I really teach a lot about is 𝙃𝙀𝙍𝙀.com. And that is a free platform. I have no affiliation with them other than I call it the PR gateway drug. And you sign up there as a source. Those are media outlets. You'll get queries every day. They're legit sources or legit media outlets looking for sources for their stories. And you can start pitching yourself to those opportunities to start getting featured in the media. And if you're still like, what is she talking about? I do have a free pitch template. You can get that at yourbestpitch.pro, and that will guide you through actually my pitch that I sent and got my client into a HARO opportunity, landing them in the LA Times. So it's a lot easier than you think once you know the steps.
Wow, that's really cool. Thank you for that. Thank you for that tip. That's something that that people can really latch onto. That's really, really cool. And you, while we're talking about things, you have an event coming up in April. It's going to be a live event. Why don't you talk about that and tell people how they can sign up for that?
Yeah, and that's what I will just say. I practice what I teach. So for anyone who's like wanting to know, is there proof that this visibility stuff really works? 100%, I will say yes, because that's how I've gotten to where I've gotten in my business, which is, filling my programs, having full client slates. I was invited by getting visible. Someone saw me and invited me to the Forbes Business Council. I've done a lot of incredible things, getting invited to be on press, interviews and things like that, just because I put myself out there in an aligned way. And the right people in the right time saw my message and what I was doing. So the latest interesting kind of success story is, we were doing the visibility parties. We're actually continuing to do those. So our visibility30.com challenge is 30 days of free visibility advice, like 5 to 10 minute action every day so that you can really move the needle and getting more visible in 30 days. And then along the way, we have our visibility parties where we feature speakers like you, Gary, who came out and played on our virtual stage with us. And, that's kind of, I think, the thing that really got the attention of Christopher Kai, who I met actually at a castle in Ireland. We were both working at a networking event. He was there as a global keynote speaker. I was there in a PR capacity. And it'd been a year or two since we connected. He saw my visibility parties and then reached out and said, hey, we should be co-hosting an event together. And so that's going to be happening April 9th in Santa Monica. And we also have virtual tickets available. So if you can be there in person, it's an incredible opportunity to get 40 plus years of our combined experience in one day. Christopher gets $20K per hour when he speaks. So the fact we get a whole day with him and myself, we're going to do some done with you trainings in that 1 day training. And it's only $97 on the early bird. So we hope you guys can get in there as quickly as possible to grab a seat. And we'd love to have anybody join us in person or also virtually. If if you're not based in the LA area or you can't fly in, virtual tickets are also available.
Cool. So tell everybody where they can get tickets and how it's best for them to be able to connect with you.
Yeah. So the tickets you can get at prstars.net/visibility. Breakthrough Visibility Experience. And that is, let's see, there's a couple options there. You can get the general admission, or we also have a VIP lunch and a VIP dinner option as well. If people are looking to connect with me or have questions, they can just always email me at heather@prstars.net. I'm on all the places, all the platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. So would love to have, connection with anyone out there who's interested in increasing their visibility. We also have a free community, the Shine Strategy Insiders on Facebook. So I can give you all these links so we make sure we have them for people.
Yeah, if you do that when we publish this this video on our YouTube channel, I'll make sure that all of those links are in there so that people will know how to connect with you. But Heather, you're amazing. I was at the visibility party and I was truly impressed not only by the quality of the people who were there, but the way you handle everything with such love and such grace and such appreciation for everybody. you're one of my favorite people. So thank you so much for taking time from your day today. I know how busy you are, especially with the event coming up. And please, folks, look at the links that are here. Feel free to connect with Heather. She truly is a really, really wonderful person, and she'll do whatever she can to help you. And by all means, consider signing up for her event. I had not known Christopher Kai, but I had a chance at the visibility event to be able to hear him, and he's so passionate and so powerful. Guarantee that you'll love that event. So again, thank you so much for being with me today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Gary. And your audience is so lucky to have you here guiding them. And it's an honor to be in connection with you now. And I hope we'll get to play together on stage again soon.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do that. And who knows, maybe one of these days we'll play on a live stage together.
That would be amazing. I would love it. That's the new frontier for me. Like, I'm comfortable on video now. We didn't even get into all of that piece about being an introvert, but people think, oh, this is easy for her because she's, her background's in PR, but I wasn't even going to have my photo on my website or do live video when I moved into the online space. So the fact that I'm here today doing this, if I can do it, that means you can do it. Speaking in front of a room full of people, it gets a little scary too, but it is that edge. Like you said, we always are coming up against that, and it's just facing the fear and doing it anyway. So I'm so happy to meet all of you, and thank you for your featuring me and talking about all of these wonderful things that we're working on today, Gary. I really appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I look forward to having you. We're going to be later this year starting a podcast, which hopefully we'll be able to do some live streaming. So we'll have to get back together again.
I will come back for that 100%.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks very much for being with us, folks. I hope you really enjoyed the conversation that I had with Heather. Please, again, feel free to contact her and connect with her. She's the real deal, and she would love to be able to help you take things in your life and in your business to the next level. So thanks again for being with us, and we'll see you again on another video.